shade of green is a grinder.
What is up, you guys, and welcome to my channel where faith fuels strength. In today's video, we have a Q&A. I have compiled the questions in my handy dandy notebook. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it, starting with lifting. And the first question that I got is from Lenny. And he said, "Would you ever hop on? Is it a no because of having cancer?"
Starting with the juicy one.
If you guys don't know what he means, he's talking about, would I ever take steroids? The answer to the question is a big fat no. I would never do steroids. I have no reason to do that. Powerlifting's not that deep. It doesn't pay my bills. It doesn't pay me at all, actually. Even before knowing I had cancer, I definitely never even considered taking drugs. And I also just want to use, what God gave me naturally and not feel the need to, I guess, enhance that in any way because I already feel like it's enough. Whatever God gives me is enough. Next question we got from Suitor. And he said, what is your all-time goal for all three lifts? So squat, bench, and deadlift. Now, I don't really make a lot of long-term goals. Maybe I should make more. But I like to make kind of intermediate goals. My first intermediate goal is to total, well, first it's to get back to my old total before cancer. And then after that, I want to total 800 kg, which is about a little less than 50 kg more than my best total. Long term, at least a 700-pound squat, 500 bench, and at least a 700-pound deadlift. This next question is from Gian the Don, and he asked, dream physique goals, anime and IRL. I don't watch anime, so a lot of people commented I look like One Punch Man when I was bald, so maybe One Punch Man. I think I achieved that one. IRL dream physique. I like how I look. I'll just say I want to be somewhere around like 210 lean. Yeah. So now we got a lot of questions from Austin. Shout out Austin for asking all of these. There's some pretty good ones in here. First one is, he's kind of asking energy and hype or focus for my lifting, and also do I listen to music or no music? I have tried both. I used to actually have a very strict rule of no music for week 4 top sets. And I would say most of the time I do abide by that still. But from week 1 to week 3, like I don't really care too much about what I do on my top sets because I don't treat them how I treat my week 4 top sets because that's the peak. So generally I would say week 4, no music, focus mode. And if you guys know me and if you've lifted around me, I am not a very excited lifter. I don't scream. I don't make facial expressions. I might crack a smile if I like hit a PR. That's probably going to be about it though. I don't know why. I've just always been like that. Even when I was playing sports, I used to play hockey. I just never celebrated when I would score a goal or something. So just never been like that. Moving on. Next question from Austin again is, intuitive eating, a protein goal, or tracking? What's more sustainable? Now, this really depends on your context, and it also depends on how much you care about your goals. Like, let's say you want to be a world champion powerlifter. You're going to have to track your macros to a T. I would even argue your micros. Kind of just depends on how much you care, what your goals are. That's number one. Number two, just being realistic. If you're like just a 9-to-5 person, you can probably track your macros. It's not that hard. I've been doing it for at least 7 years straight. I've been doing it. And the only time I've ever taken breaks is for vacation.
Damn.
That's crazy. I don't really think about that. I definitely took a break in the hospital because I was not feasible. It was unrealistic. Let's say you are a business owner like Kevin. He owns this company, 110. Use my code. Shout out Kevin. My code is JGKG. But if you're like Kevin and you own a business and you are extremely busy, and his main goal is, his business. So if you want, track intuitively, especially if you've been tracking for a while and you kind of know what you need to eat, it can be done. It's really not that hard. Next question. At what point do you decide to move up a weight class? If you're a beginner lifter and you're on the lighter side, maybe you're a little
Scrawny, you could put on some mass.
I wouldn't even worry about what weight class you're in. I would literally just try and continue to slow bulk, keep building muscle, and staying relatively lean. The other reason you may want to move up a weight class is maybe you're actually a really experienced lifter and you've always been doing a weight cut, or even if it's a little bit gradual weight cut, and you have some room to grow, then maybe prioritizing
A bulk and not trying to cut down.
to your regular weight class that you've been doing for years and just trying to move up. Like a great example of that would be Russ. Like he's been 83 his whole career. He's been having to cut down pretty drastically because the guy is jacked. So like he's gonna have to do a pretty big cut, and honestly, probably hurting his performance, even though he's still winning. But now that he's bulked up to the 93s, he's gained a lot of strength. An example of a newer lifter, I'm gonna use Joe Bornstein as an example. He's not a newer lifter, he's literally a world champion, but he started as a 74. Actually, when I went to nationals, I saw him there. He was a lot skinnier than he is now. He decided to move up a weight class, which I think he definitely should have. And look at him now. He's so much stronger. He's still a world champion, all this good stuff. And for him, it's probably, I'm not going to speak for him, but for the longevity of his powerlifting career, it's probably best that he just let himself move up a weight class. Next question. What point should you switch coaches, if at all? Number one thing I'm going to say is if you are not following to a T what your coach has set out for you to do, then you can't, with good conscience, I guess, blame your coach for a lack of performance. Now that we're past that, let's just assume you are. Let's assume you're doing everything to a T. You've given programming a very good chance. I'm talking several months even. You're just not happy with your progress. And you probably also think maybe there's some changes that could be made that coach isn't making. Or it may be that maybe you guys just don't mesh well. I think a lot of coach and client relationship matters more sometimes than even programming, because good communication between a coach and a client is going to do way more, I think, than just good programming. And really, if you're communicating well with your client and vice versa, you're going to see progress and you're going to see good programming from that, because you are communicating well and you know the right changes to make, things to put in, things to take out. And I would also encourage people to just be honest with their coaches, tell them how they're thinking, even though that might be an uncomfortable conversation, but just being honest and saying, hey coach, like I'm just not happy with the progress. Like, can we change something? Because sometimes that's all it takes, and then all of a sudden you start making the progress that you wanted because you brought it to your coach's attention. So that's also important.
Glute spread.
Moving on. Now we are going to move on to the faith portion. And the first question comes from Suitor again. And it says, actually, there's three questions. So the first one is, what was your biggest trial through your recovery? And that would definitely be going back to the hospital for a second time. I had some more symptoms, trouble breathing, and it got very, very bad. I ended up going to the ER at like 3 in the morning. There was fluid around my lungs, and it was like pushing my lungs up and collapsing them. So that was why. And that was definitely the biggest trial of my recovery. Being back in that hospital, I had to get 2 more chest tubes, and it just wasn't a fun time. Those are very painful, and if you don't know what a chest tube is basically, maybe I'll put a picture up on the screen here, just to drain the fluid out of your, it's called a pleural effusion. But yeah, so that was tough. I stayed there for a week, and I was in a lot of pain. But that was the hardest physical battle I had to go through with my recovery. But then it led to the next dilemma, which was, should I continue chemo? At the time, I was supposed to do my fifth cycle, but instead I was in the hospital, so they delayed it. And then ultimately, I decided not to do it. Their best guess of why the fluid came back was because of chemo. So, for logical reasons, that's kind of why I didn't want to continue. And I was already in remission since really cycle 2. So I didn't really see a point in continuing. But more than that, I prayed a lot about it. I talked to my family about it. We all prayed together about it. And I just didn't think like it was the right decision. I just think that God was telling me, like, you're done. Like, that was enough. And so I stopped. Yeah, I have a PET scan tomorrow. After that, I just got to get my port out and I'm done. That was definitely the hardest part of my recovery, physically and mentally. And it was kind of just like, it was really the end. Because after that, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to go through anything else. And then moving on to his second question, why do you think God has put you in this position? I love that question because a lot of people, I think, they kind of look at what I went through and they may ask the question, like, why, God? Why would you give somebody cancer? Although I don't think he necessarily gave me the cancer, but what I do know for 100% fact is he has created so much good out of it. There has been immense growth in my family. There's been a lot of growth in my marriage. Had I not gotten cancer, there would have been no reason for us to be back in America at all, let alone close enough to them to be able to come back together and be much closer. We've all benefited within our own faith. A lot of the stuff I prayed about has been answered. And the reason I think I'm in this position was like most of all for all of that. And also just to be able to inspire others. I mean, I talk to a lot of people now with even sometimes the same exact diagnosis. And I just want to bring all the glory to God and show people what is possible, but only what is possible through Him, and just having faith in Him that He's going to take care of you, He's going to take care of me, and He has a plan, and it's perfect. So he also asked, did you ever question God while going through your treatment? And to that, I would say, yes, I definitely did question Him quite a bit. Like, wow, God, what's happening right now? I mean, I almost died. So there was a lot of scary nights, especially on the nights where I was like in the most pain or throwing up blood, literally. I would definitely be sitting there asking God,
Why? What is going on?
I am pretty happy with how I never really doubted Him. I just felt in my heart that there was a reason for all of this, and I would eventually see it. And I just kept telling myself that, and I remembered that. And also, having my wife by my side helped tremendously, and she helped me keep, level-headed. Yeah, I really don't know what I would have done without her. So moving on, Mitch asks, how were you able to weightlift despite chemo and the effects of it? Did doctors give an okay? Yes, the doctors told me I could literally do anything I want. The last thing I had to go through in the initial hospital visit, which was for 6 very long weeks, but I got the port put in. And that was technically a surgery. I had to take a total of 2 weeks off training. But after that, I was good to go. No restrictions whatsoever. And no restrictions on my eating either, which was awesome. I think some people do have some restrictions. But yeah, I think the reason I was able to weightlift through it is, number one, I ate really good. I slept good. I even tracked my micronutrients, which really helped. And oftentimes I force myself to lift or do something active. And there were many, many days that I didn't want to, but if you can kind of just push past that. I mean, by the way, to any of you who are on chemo, I hope not, but if you are, I just urge you to try and stay as active as you physically possibly can, because it will help. Even if you feel bad in the moment, I think in my personal experience, a lot of the times after I forced myself, even within the same workout, I would start to feel better. And then same thing with eating. If I forced myself to eat, I would start to gain the appetite after that. But then of course, God. God is the only reason I can do anything that I do. And he gave me the strength, for sure. A supernatural strength through this that I never even knew I had. I mean, it's not really mine, it's his. So the next question we got is from Anish. And he said, would you say getting back to this was more challenging mentally or physically? That's a hard one. I would say at first, definitely physically. I don't even think I could think, because I was in so much pain through all of the surgeries, procedures, not being able to breathe, being hooked up to oxygen, all kinds of stuff. Definitely at first it was physically harder. But as after I got out of the hospital, the chemo wasn't too bad for me. I mean, I had my moments, but then it became a lot more mentally hard, because then came the spiritual battle of like staying faithful and kind of not being angry at God and just letting God work through me and work in my life. But it paid off. It paid off for sure. I'm in a much better place now. I have so much purpose. I have so much more wisdom. I learned so much through all of this. It's hard to say if one or the other, but definitely in the beginning, it was physically harder. And then now, it's just mentally harder. Also, like going to the gym is the easy part. Like that, I love going to the gym. So sometimes I had to kind of force myself through it because I was tired, but I wanted to go to the gym. Next question is, what is your favorite Bible verse? Corinthians 12:9-10. So starting in verse 9, it says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power made perfect in weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. So obviously that verse really resonates with me, because I think me becoming weaker this past year, obviously almost dying, although I was weak, I was made strong through God, and God's strength was shown through my weakness, and ultimately it's also just made me a stronger person. My limit or my threshold for pain and suffering and all of that is so much higher now. And it's allowed me to be super thankful of small things like taking a shower. Like when I came home from the hospital the first time, I remember I took a shower for probably like 2 hours because it just felt so good. I hadn't been able to take a shower for a while, and because I was hooked up to a bunch of stuff. So yeah, and then it goes on to say, that is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Again, it's just like, had I not gone through all of that, I wouldn't have been able to learn all those things. I wouldn't have been able to be stronger now, and mentally, physically, all these things. So for when I am weak, then I am strong. I just love that verse. It's so good, and it really resonates with me especially. Next question we got is from Andy, and he said, was there any one thing that led to your desire for a relationship with Christ? I would say not one thing, but many, many, many things. I think we all have a very incredible need for Christ, and that is why I follow him. That is why I worship him, because I truly need him. I mean, me personally, when I came to Christ, or when I came back to Christ, I was broken, I was lonely, I was depressed, I was drug addicted, alcohol addicted. All of those things were reasons that I needed Christ. And I've been able to heal from all of it. And then we got another one from Austin, this time in the faith category. And he said, married life worth it while so young? Absolutely. Absolutely. I had so many people encouraging me to hesitate. I just think the idea of marriage nowadays is very much perverted. People get together and they just do all the things that you're meant to do within a marriage, and they do it before they actually get married. So then it's like, what is even the point of getting married? But also just like walking through life with another person is so beautiful. Like, I am so glad I married my wife. And had I not, how would I have taken all this, you know? Who would have been there for me, truly, at every moment? Who would have been sleeping in the hospital with me for weeks on end? So, is it worth it? Yes, it is so worth it. That being said, figure your own stuff out first. Get right with God. If God wills it, then do it. Anyways, I think that'll do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in me, if this is your first time seeing me, click the links down below with my socials. I got my Instagram, my TikTok. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell if you don't want to miss any other uploads. But just remember, when we are weak, then we are strong.